What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to cover a little bit about knee pain and really how to recover from that, deal with that, and really get rid of the pain within the knee that you have. This is not going to target any particular knee pain. I will kind of highlight a couple different areas, but really what this exercise and workout is going to do for you is helps all type of knee pains. Today, a lot of people have knee pain, but realistically what the problem is, just like my symptoms with my back were not necessarily from my back being the problem, they were just symptoms of a different issue being the problem, such as my hips. But I urge you to look at some other issues such as the ankle, the feet, and even the hip. So during this video, I'm going to explain a little bit of how it works and some science behind that. And then at the end, there'll be a little routine that you can do every single day. This is something you can do every single day. It's not like if you went squatting today and tomorrow your body is just broken down and you can't do it again for another 2 days or so, and because the body needs to recover. This is something that you definitely want to do every day so that you're building that routine, building that habit, and really getting the motion into the joint, which is what it actually needs to heal. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of what is going to actually help the knee heal and feel better. Now, most of us out there believe in the term RICE, rest, ice, compress, elevate, or just ice in general. And yes, icing will take away some of the initial pain in the short term, but studies have been found that over a longer time frame that it hinders healing and progression. In reality, what the joints and the muscle groups need is just small groups of movement. So what happens when a part of the body gets injured, the knee, the ankle, all right, an immense amount of white blood cells rush into that area, bringing additional fluid with them. And that is what causes the swelling. All right, so that's what you see during your injury, is all that swelling. Now, when people typically have swelling that doesn't leave after a decent amount of time, they don't necessarily have a swelling problem, they have an evacuation problem within that joint. And what that means is that that fluid and those blood cells, they cannot leave the same way they came in through the circulatory system. They have to use a more passive system called the lymphatic system. But the difference between this system and the circulatory system is that the circulatory system has an engine. It's the heart. The heart pumps, and it pumps the blood, pumps the fluid, pumps the blood cells through the system. The lymphatic system is a more passive system that requires manual movement. So when your muscles are contracting and moving, they are actually passively pushing on the lymphatic system, pushing that fluid through the arteries and all that. This process is happening whether you like it or not. And when you happen to ice this local area, it actually hinders the growth because it stops and puts a blockade on a lot of that movement. And you'll notice this in a larger group if you go into like physical therapy and places like that, because a lot of times you don't see people just sitting around. You see them doing movements, doing little movements with their joints, with their muscles, rebuilding that muscle to get back up to where they were before. But again, the purpose isn't necessarily to just build strength. It's to get movement into the joint, into the muscle group, to really just get it moving again, but also put the pressure on the lymphatic system to help push out the bad fluids from the broken down tissue. So what that's going to lead me into is getting into these little exercises that we use, stretches and movements, to help improve pain, create more stability within that muscle or joint, and really just get the whole body more in sync itself. All right, so the first couple things that we're going to do is just a couple different stretches. And you know, don't take these two stretches as the only two stretches out there. There are two stretches that I've just been working with and they've been working for me. There are a dozen other stretches out there, all right? And this is gonna involve the knee, but the quadricep as well. And the reason why everything in the body is connected. A lot of times people have problems with their knee pain, but it's really just north of that with the connection tissue of the quadricep. So sometimes with the lack of flexibility in the quadricep, lack of strength in the quadricep, in certain areas, uneven strength in the quadricep, it happens to pull on the knee, and that's where you get a little bit of pain. also on the south side with the tibialis, it is not talked about very much, and it's just on the opposite side of the knee. So both sides are pulling on the knee, all right? So sometimes if we have a pain on the lower side of the knee, it could be caused because of that muscle there on the bottom of the knee. So, but also sometimes there is going to be pain directly on top of the kneecap, or, you know, it seems like it's directly on the knee, and that's okay, because we're still going to stretch, we're still going to get the joint warmed up. All right, so the first stretch is just this this quad stretch here. You're going to lay down. I'm laying on a pillow that I can put my feet off of the back side of, and really I'm just going to lay back. You know, this is a progression stretch. You can start by just sitting down on your legs, feeling that stretch a little bit, and then as you start to progress, you can start to lean back a little bit more and a little bit more to get more of a stretch within that quad and knee. So do this for a little bit. At the end of this video, I'll go into the routine, but I just wanted to show the stretches real quick. All right, the next stretch here is going to be another quad stretch. All right, these stretches in these positions are done out of, I don't want to say comfort, but simplicity. I'm not balancing on one leg and pulling my quadricep up and trying to hold my balance while I'm trying to stretch my quad. All right, this one here, I'm putting my knee on a pillow, putting my foot up on the couch, and I'm simply standing up straight to stretch my quad and my knee. Now, again, it's progression. If you have a tight quad, tight knee, do not put your knee all the way to the couch and attempt to stretch here. You're not going to be able to get up. So start with your knee about halfway, you know, down the pillow. If it needs to go further up, that's fine too. It's progression. All right. Put your knee down, put your foot up, start to lean back, feel the tension, stretch it. All right. And then as you get a little bit more loose, a little bit more flexible, all right, you can start to dial put the knee further back towards the couch. All right. Now we're going to get into the exercises. All right. There's going to be 2 of them. They're going to be very, very similar, but obviously this is progression. All right. So this is where you're going to stand here, as you can see. All right. And you're going to just balance on one foot. And as you can see, I have no shoes on. Okay. This is a huge piece when it comes to knee pain, knee problems, fixing knees, and all of that. If you haven't checked out my shoes versus no shoes video in the gym, I highly recommend watching that video. You can get to that by clicking this here. But there I talk to you a lot about what shoes have done to us over time, and you know what complications we see with that. All right, but yeah, check that video out, you know, get all that information. But again, we're doing this barefoot because we need to create stability within the foot. A lot of knee problems are derived from the foot. Now, they can be derived from the hip and the ankle and all these other things, but a lot of problems from the foot because we wear shoes all the time. All right, and they change the way our foot works and operates. All right, but we need strength and we need stability within the foot. So get your shoes off. If you need a sock on, it's fine, but you know, get your shoes off. All right, you're just gonna stand on one foot, get a little bit of balance, feel your foot out, gain some stability. All right, and slowly you're gonna push one foot out in front of you, and all you're gonna do is dip down far enough to where your heel taps the ground, taps the ground, taps the ground. Here you're building into it. You're getting used to the motion, you're getting used to the balance, and really your knee is starting to bend very little. Okay, now if this hurts your knee, okay, that's okay. But what we're gonna do, especially leading into the next exercise, is you're going to hip hinge before you bend at the knee. Okay, so as you can see here, now I have a plate underneath my foot, but just watch my hips here, and you can see how I'm hip hinging first and then bending my knee so that I can get deeper down to the ground. Okay, now as you progress and do this exercise, okay, you will slowly start to back off of the hip hinge. Okay, so do the movement, get the movement. You want to be pain-free in the knee. Again, in the routine, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, but you know, do about 25 reps of these and just get used to the movement. All right, once you're done with that, we're going to step into the next one. We're basically going to add some height. Okay, so I'm using a 45-pound bumper plate here. Feel free to use whatever you want. All right, 1 inch, 2 inches. It doesn't matter, because slowly we're going to progress higher and higher and higher. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm starting out with my plate. All right, the first time I'm doing this, I felt some knee pain, so I'm hip hinging. I'm hinging at the hip, hinging at the hip. I'm doing a little bit of knee bend, but hinging at the hip, okay? As I slowly start to feel better, which for me personally, it was after the first set, okay? So hip hinge, bend at the knee, hip hinge, bend at the knee, and as you start to feel it, start to slowly back off of the hip hinge, okay? And you're gonna be doing the same movement. Essentially squatting down and tapping the ground with your heel and back up. Tapping the ground with your heel, back up. Tapping the ground with your heel, back up, okay? Again, get used to the movement. The goal here is to eventually be doing this with just your knee with no pain, all right? Now, another little quick side note is that if you're having trouble bending down that far, it might not be a problem with your knee yet. If there's no pain in your knee, there could be some ankle flexibility issues, okay? So just something to keep in mind as you start to elevate yourself. Another thing that you may want to try is wrapping your knee. If you haven't checked out my gym gear video, check that out here. But the knee wraps can help prevent that pain because they're creating more stability within the knee. And then slowly, as your knee starts to work and move, you can take the knee wrap off and try it out, okay? While you're doing this bend and you start to get more comfortable with the bend in the knee, you need to make sure that the knee is not caving, okay? The knee needs to remain stable the entire time, all right? So during the first exercise where you're learning the movement, getting the balance down, that's where you need to really concentrate on proper form and technique, okay? So when you do a slight squat down with your knee, you need to make sure that it's staying on track, staying on track. If you need to videotape yourself doing this, do it. Videotaping yourself while doing exercises is the best thing you could do because you can see where you're doing things wrong. All right, once you've kind of mastered that first level, whether it's a plate, 2 inches, whatever it is, the goal is to start to elevate, all right? Get higher. Now, we're not gonna go to the roof here, but essentially you should be able to get up to about 6 inches and work yourself to the position of bending, squatting down with the knee and being pain-free. Okay, so that's the goal, is to just get higher. Now, I would recommend that as you get higher, you have something next to you that you can support yourself with. So if you lose balance, you're not falling off of this 6-inch platform into somebody or onto something else. So have a weight rack or a wall or something right next to you. Even a stairwell will work. All right, so have something next to you that, hey, I squat down, I kind of lose balance a little bit, and I caught myself. Okay, I'm not gonna sit there and hold it the whole time, but it's to catch yourself. Do not rush this step. Also, what I mean by don't rush is don't jump up, 4 inches. All right, increments. All right, if you can do an inch, do an inch. If you have nothing else there and everything is 2 inches, that's fine, try it out. But again, have something next to you to stabilize yourself in case, 1, your balance gives out and you fall, or 2, the pain is just so much that you have to just collapse. Progress, not perfection. Okay, so take this step slow, slowly elevate. If you need to, dial it back. All right, and finally, we're gonna get into this kind of daily routine that you're gonna do with this exercise and this stretch, all right? So everything that you've seen so far is in my daily routine, all right? So you're gonna start out with the basically sitting on your legs, quad and knee stretch. You're gonna do that for 2 sets at 90 seconds a piece, okay? I put the same amount of time as my rest time, so I do 90 seconds of work, 90 seconds of rest, all right? So do that for 2 sets. All right, the next one, when the knee is on the pillow itself and you're sitting straight up, you're gonna do this for 90 seconds on each side, 1 set each, all right? And then from there, we're gonna progress into the step downs, all right? I do the plate elevated step downs first, all right? And what you're gonna do is 2 minutes of work and 2 minutes of rest. Now, if you wanna work both knees, which is something I highly suggest, there's not gonna be any rest, okay? So now this is your own workout. By all means, do your own rest if you'd like. But I do 2 minutes of work, switch to the other leg, 2 minutes of work, switch to the other leg, 2 minutes of work, and you're gonna do 3 sets on each leg. Okay, now if you wanna do one leg only, that's fine. 2 minutes of work, 2 minutes of rest. And then we're gonna go into the final one where you're just gonna do 25 reps on each leg. All right, and that's just gonna, your calf is gonna be on fire. Your foot is gonna be on fire. So if you're somebody who thinks you have a weak foot, that's not a bad thing, but I highly recommend that you do not do this entire workout barefoot for the first day. All right, do one of the exercises barefoot and then put your shoe on the rest of the time, because if your foot gets so sore at the end of this workout that you can't do anything the rest of the, and you attempt to do it again tomorrow, you're going to compensate and you're going to create even more knee pain. All right, so again, do this exercise barefoot, but you don't want to overdo it. Now, let me know in the comments down below if this actually helped you guys and what your progress is. I know for me, my knee is already feeling better, and I want to know what you think and how it's working for you guys out there. So please let me know. See you guys next time.